next in line, we have Freek from Ninjas, who's co-founder there. And at Ninjas, who is part of the iStart incubation program of iMinds, what they do is they offer a unique and playful solution for employees of a company that's on Google for Work platform to learn and play and get to know the system so that the user adoption of Google Work for Play can grow and grow faster. Ninjas is also one of the products that Jeroen has been testing out, has been using here at iMinds. So once again, we have a short introduction by you.
Thank you. Actually, I was a bit confused at Ninjas. I thought we were going to do some Kung Fu courses, but no, something different. Now, again, a little bit of context. In 2011, we moved over to Google Apps. Moving into the cloud for us means, both for my IT team and for myself, agility, business continuity. I think everybody who has been, working on an exchange environment has suffered a bit of downtime. We haven't had any downtime. Scalability, better return on investment, and especially from security point of view, two-step authentication. So my keyword for today, my keyword in my IT strategy years to come is elasticity. Platform as a service is at the core of my strategy. So elasticity in terms of the ecosystem that Google Apps brings us, not only the typical mail and calendar, but also the Google Docs, the Google Slides, the Google Forms, the Hangouts, the mail. Google for Work also has a response to growing amount of data. Because we will be signing up for the Google for Work, where we have unlimited storage. So if my users want to put in 5 terabytes of data, go ahead, be my guest. You wouldn't be able to do that on a typical office environment. But also elasticity when it comes to growing number of users. And that's basically one of my bigger concerns. We have had a lot of new users the last couple of years. And what we see is that only 20% of the platform's capabilities are used. We have Salesforce, which is a Rolls-Royce. We have Google Apps, which is a Ferrari. But they're driving around with it like a 10-year-old car, which is a bit of shame. So in 2015, we start spreading across multiple sites. Here it's easy. Everybody is centralized in one in HQ. We'll have 2 sites, 3 sites, 4 sites, 5 sites. It's going to be difficult to train our users. Now, we can provide classroom teaching. By the way, we had very good feedback from your training last time. People who have been using Google Apps for the last 2-3 years. We opened up their lights, so thank you for that. And it's only a first step in the learning curve, because we all know that once you leave the classroom, how much percent is being retained from what you've been learning that day? 10%? 15%? So we remain stuck here. And the thing with Google is, it's new business features, or business as usual. So from a documentation point of view, from a training point of view, we are always, outdated. We are running behind the facts. Now, I can encourage my users to deepen their knowledge, but it's also something that has to start from within, as the Dalai Lama would say. So we were looking for a solution that was fun, that helped us, to keep the pace of onboarding new people, for setting basically the stage for better productivity. And that's when I met those other young puppies. It's a room is full of young puppies today, and these are app ninjas. So, Freek, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. And thanks for the introduction. So, indeed, I'm Freek from App Ninjas. I have a couple of colleagues here as well. We started App Ninjas. We originated from a company we have, which is a Google Apps partner, Google Apps reseller, and basically we talked to them about transitioning to Google and what are the challenges they are facing. And already Jeroen mentioned a couple of them, but the first one is definitely classroom training. Whether it's effective or not, it's at least cost ineffective, inefficient. Especially when you're across multiple sites, you're a big international organization, have one or a couple of trainers flying all around the world to train all of your people, it costs a lot. Second challenge is user adoption varies. Either by application, so everybody is forced to go on Gmail, forced to use the calendar. They probably will do because it's part of the daily business. But what about replacing conference calls with Hangouts? What about using Google Drive instead of your Office licenses for sharing documents with your project teams? Those are things that, if not taught well from the beginning, the adoption usually varies. Secondly, especially in international organizations, it also varies by region. If your headquarters is here in Ghent, fine. You will probably have some noise around Google Apps going around, and people will start using it, start experimenting with it. But what about your offices in the US, in Brazil, in China, wherever they may be? How do you get those people on board as well? And the third challenge is about continuous innovation. So we've all seen, and Edward has clarified that clearly, the evolution in Google Apps. How do you keep up with that? How do you adapt your change management effort to that? One of your employees has just gone to a classroom training, and okay, he hasn't been on a project, so he hasn't used Google Drive a lot. Now a new project starts. The entire application looks different. How do you cope with that? And secondly, what do you do with your new hires? Classroom trainings are great, and it's usually a condensed effort in a certain period of time. But what for people joining right after that time? Will you organize trainings every 3 months, every month, every week? So we are looking to address those challenges. And that's how App Ninjas was born. So we call it a gamified and customizable platform for learning Google Apps, with the focus of boosting your Google Apps end user adoption in a fun and active way. It's supposed to be googly, like using the Google product is. For management, it's important. You have invested in this tool quite frequently to get rid exactly of your conference call costs, of your Office licenses. But how well can you actually monitor that's happening? Very difficult today. Secondly, we also want to provide reporting on not just on how your Google Apps content is being used by the users, but also you could add your own training content for, I don't know, maybe you are a health organization that has certain procedures that need to be followed, certain certificates that need to be renewed on an annual basis. How do you measure that all of your users actually have that certification and keep it? So I don't want to go through a lot of slides showing what the product is, so that's why I'm just going to go out on a limb here and try to do a live demo. There we are. So I'm Steven Spielberg, a fake user, obviously, and I have App Ninjas integrated right into my Google applications. So it's fully localized based on my language. So we built the platform, thanks for the recommendation, Boris, but to be able to scale it internationally across as many languages as we want. So we are also launching and iterating. So for the moment, we just have English, Dutch, and working on French and German, but we can go for any language you want. So what's the concept? I'm a ninja. I'm learning. I learn in my dojo, which is where I earn belts as I progress. So depending on my role, I also have some additional functionality here. And let me go just to the profiler once. So the profiler is an application that we built which uses the Google APIs and which provides exactly what Jeroen needs, because start 2015, he wants to understand which parts of my organization are using which Google Apps application. So we see, for example, my organization in Hollywood here is not using Google Drive very well. I can see that, okay, there's a couple of people there, and none of them has ever created a Google Drive document. So what can I do? I can promote tracks. So I repeat, we launch and iterate. This is a very basic version. I can just say, okay, I want to promote this training, send it to these people by email. But we intend to extend that to real campaigns where you say, okay, within Hollywood, in my organization, for the next 3 months, I really want to boost Google Drive. So I'm going to push this training content to people, make sure that once they have completed the first, they are motivated to do the second course, and time boxes. So give them a deadline to really have them engaged in the solution. So let's say I'm a ninja. So I'm again in my dojo. First of all, the training content we have here is completely customizable. So at this moment, we only have, in this demo system set up, content for Gmail, Calendar, and Drive. But we offer all of the Google Apps applications. We have content for them. And additionally, as I said, you can add your own content, either for setting up your own PySync integration or understanding how to use Salesforce on your mobile phone. We can do it all. So I have an overview of all of the content, but I also have content specifically suggested for me. So it means that based on my profile, my usage, so when I go into App Ninjas for the first time, it knows already that I know how to use the calendar because I have lots of events and people are invited and I accept and I reject, and I participate in Hangout, so it shouldn't suggest me to create events in a calendar, how to do it. But apparently Steven Spielberg is not at that stage yet, so let me just go ahead and start the track. And we will present a real step-by-step approach for going through the content. But it's not just screen by screen, it's interactive. And as we all know from that famous MIT study, I mean, if you hear something, you retain X%. If you see it, you retain a bit more. But if you do it, that's the most efficient way to learn. So I need to create here, I need to go to my Google Calendar, and really I get instructions on what I'm supposed to do. Now, okay, let's say, yeah, I know how to do this, I'm bored, I'm not gonna follow up. Then we use the APIs of Google to validate here, did you do what was intended that you did to do? And it's clearly not the case because I just skipped it, so let me just go back and follow the training. So, okay, I need to create an event here, which is called App Ninjas Training. Create it, okay. I will not bore you with the rest of the steps. But then I can show that, okay, now it works correctly. I rock. I created an event. So this is just the concept, and this content we developed it to be completely flexible. So if you want to add your own content or remove, or say, okay, for my organization we use calendar a little bit differently because of our specific situation, not a problem. We can do it for you. So, and when I complete the course, I get a nice reward screen. Yes, I completed all the yellow belt courses for calendar, so now I get a yellow belt. And I can brag about the belt I just got on Google+. I can rate the content. If I thought it was really bad, it gives a signal to us as well. Look, the content is central, so we can improve it for all of our customers at once. Okay, and you see here, I have my nice little icon to show to my colleagues that I have a yellow belt and I'm really good with calendar. So that's what the process is for the Ninja. Now, what does it offer for the management? So we have different kinds of reports, and the first most interesting one is actually the belts. So I can see how many people actually have a yellow belt and how many of them completed certain tracks. So this is really our way to show that the promotions I did through App Ninjas are really working or not. And if they're not, then we need to figure out how to address that as well. But at least with this tool, you have the visibility, which before you probably didn't even have. So, yeah, in addition to that, we just quickly show that we have another report as well where you can show, actually not directly related to the belts, but what kind of activities all of your users are doing in the system. You can filter by population, see what kind of tracks are followed, where everybody is. So this report is really an example of launch and iterate. Like, we created a report that we thought was interesting, but our customers have already given us feedback, like, okay, we would like to see it more like this, and this is more interesting for us. That's fine. That's why we're iterating. So back to my presentation. So this is a Belgaug event after all, so I would like to really focus on, give some highlights on what Google Cloud technology we're using. So we are, first of all, using Google Apps for Work ourselves. I wouldn't be standing here if we weren't, I guess. But one important aspect is that the usage of Google Drive makes it really flexible for us to provide that multi-language content, because all of our content is stored in Drive. The usage of API, Google is offering a broad range of APIs and continually expanding on that as well, which we can use for validating that the courses and doing the profiling. App Engine is, as Edward mentioned, don't go looking for servers. Just use the voucher that you got and just click, 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 and you have a machine up and running, which is exactly what we did. Plus, if we scale like Snapchat did, fine. It would be great for us, and the infrastructure would allow it. Also, in terms of database, we use the Cloud Data Store for more technical reasons. I think less interesting for you guys. So where are we coming from? This is actually all very, very new. We started in April this year, 2014. So merely 7 months ago, with an idea. So we transitioned a Google Apps customer, and we wanted to train them. And one of us came up with the bright ideas. Let's just do it with exercises that are validated. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. So we validated RD further with enterprise customers, with Google themselves, and with some fellow Google partners as well that had a really good image on what customers would like. We immediately started engaging with customers based on 7 mockups. And some credits to Leonard, but they didn't look that great, really. And still, the customer said, okay, if you can deliver this, fine. We will sign to do a pilot with you. So again, small, start small and iterate. So we have now 4 paying customers with an average of around 40 users on a pilot. So yeah, it's already great for us to have that feedback, and that's, yeah, whether you believe in freemium for B2B or not, at least to have the customers give a little bit, they pay a little bit of money, which shows you that, okay, they're willing to invest and they really believe in the product as well. With the call of May, we joined iStart, which was great for us as well. I guess I'm preaching to the choir here, but I mean, in terms of the support it brings, not only financial, but smart money, networking, interesting and critical customers, it's really nice to have. And now we are, as you've seen, developing our minimum viable product. I think we're already beyond that stage, and we're iterating. So we as well have very short development sprints. Every 1 or 2 weeks, we deliver new releases to all of our production customers, and it's been working really well for us so far. So, what's next? What's our plan for 2015 and beyond? Obviously, it's scale, 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 and get as much ninjas and their feedback and their belts on our platform. How do we intend to do that? First of all, we want to go international as quick as possible, also because of the size of the enterprise Google Apps market here in Belgium is interesting and growing, but obviously there's much more potential outside of our borders. We want to achieve product market fit. We need to iterate. Our product is not finished yet at all, but we're getting there. We're also looking. Actually, I'm hoping we can drop this arrow. I'm hoping we won't need it because it's obviously a much more comfortable position to be in. But at least what we want to build is an advisory board where we have people with which brings smart money to the table, as they call it, with experience in e-learning, which we don't have. We don't have an e-learning background. So we really want to get smart people on board, and we want to help get people on board with a network as well, because the way we intend to sell this internationally, and probably also do some consulting around installing App Ninjas, we like to look for indirect sales channels there. So we are looking to partner with other Google Apps resellers, because is immediately one of the feedback that we got when joining iStart. This is not something we can scale ourselves. We cannot provide all of the effort for internationally. We won't go fast enough. And the question came, for you, I think, are you afraid about competitors? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty low entry, as you can see what we've done in a couple of months. But the only way to cope with that is to just, don't know how to put it differently, but kick ass in execution and go fast and make sure it's very well done. Some highlights on our product roadmap. 3 I want to focus on specifically. First one is those training campaigns. So we really believe that as part of a Google Apps transition, we can also provide you with the complete campaign, not just point-by-point exercises, but provide the entire change management package that you need for such a transition. The reporting needs to get much more advanced, and we want to get much further in that entry-level determination. So if we come in with an organization that's already 2 years on Google, that we make sure that every user gets exactly the right content. So he's not using Drive. Okay, he will get the basics of Drive, but is he using Drive really extensively in a certain way? Okay, we will give him courses to give him a broader insight on, broader perspective on how he could use it. That's it from my side. Before I wrap up, any questions from the audience or from the Hangout on Air?
Is it mainly or only focused on the enterprise, or also on the SMB?
It's our sales strategy is mainly focused on the enterprise market, but any SMB customer could use it. I mean, it's going to be available on the Google Apps Marketplace, so it's click and play. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can you share what kind of pricing structure you're thinking of?
Yes. It's you put it correctly. What we're thinking of. We're not entirely sure yet. We would use a user-based model with a yearly fee, but they're thinking that the added value, especially for new Google Apps customers, is much higher in the first year than it is in the subsequent years. So we're trying to look for a balance between the two. And for big enterprises, we are looking at making enterprise agreements, because especially for the added value of the platform after year 3, 4, 5, it's clear that it's going to be much lower than the first year. So if you have any thoughts, I'm happy to discuss later.
Sorry.
In terms of scalability, you said if the company works a bit different on calendar, like one specific way, you would be able to provide that to them. Is that from your side, or an admin in their company that can tweak the trainings?
Today it's on our side, but it's definitely going to be the purpose that they can choose their own training content. First of all, select which content they want to include. Maybe there are apps that they are not actively promoting yet. And then secondly, indeed, adapt the content to their specific needs. Yeah. But we can't do that. It's just copy-pasting Google Docs for the moment.
Yeah, I have a question for you. How many users do you have at KDIB?
We have about 4,800 accounts, but not as much usual. 5,000 accounts and about 4,800 users.
And how do you do the training today? It's quite a big batch of people.
We have a few sites with all the information. We use training for all new people that come in. It's classroom trainings, and there's a lot of training the trainer going on. So it's ambassadors that are spread around the country that are specialized in Google Apps and that really follow closely. And every councillor knows which ambassador is responsible in his region. He just calls and says, how do I do this? I want to do that. We also have what we call a site with a cookbook, which is on the site we have use cases that went well, using combination of, for example, a forum, a hangout, and external calendar appointments. We use You Can Book Me, which is a third-party app for having employees or employers booking appointment slots with us, and then there's a description of how you can do that and how you set the account, and you can contact the human support. So that's the way. We also have a change manager at the business side, which is specifically responsible for making sure that when something new comes up, that if it's important for the company, that we spread it on the sites to the Google ambassadors, and then so on. So that's the way we organize it.
No online learning yet.
No online.
Oh, you have a customer.
Yet being the key word in the sense.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so Michael and also the others visit us at our booth during the reception, and we can give you some demo accounts so you can play around.
Freek, you also know that we have some Google resellers in the room here,
Yeah.
so I think it would be good if you look at how you could bundle products. So if you sell, let's say, the first batch of Google accounts, if you can be added as an on top thing, like Telenet does with their iPhone and their crappy subscription model. But bundling is also one of the way forwards. And remember what Boris said, it's all about partnerships. So,
and Edward as well. We clearly got the message.
yeah, okay, good stuff. That's
okay, thank you for having me.